Well, good morning. Hey, so maybe you've heard the news. I get to talk with Miss Apple Valley 2024, Reagan Rebstock, this morning. I'm so excited, and I am going to wait a second here for some folks to jump in so that we've got some people to be able to watch this morning while the two of us ladies sit here together and chat over our mug of something steamy and delicious. And I do see that Reagan has just jumped on, so let me grab her. This is the first time I've done this, and I just invited her to join our conversation, and she should pop up here in just a second. Here we go. There it is. It worked. Look at that. Yay! Applause for both of us, right?
I was a little worried there.
We're
a little scared, but
working through this, figuring it out. Okay, good job. We're on. All right. Well, hey, we actually just chatted a few minutes before just to make sure we were all ready to go this morning, and we both noticed what?
we're matching. Great minds think alike, right? cozy sweater on and coffee in hand.
Yep. Okay. So let's see your cup.
Oh, I had to rock the UW mug this morning. Right. Fun fact, I get one of these cups from Starbucks anytime I visit somewhere.
Yeah.
So I have one from like New Zealand, Texas, where else? Washington, D.C. And I almost went to use the Texas one this morning. I was like, Regan, what are you doing?
No.
You need to use the UW one. So.
I love that. Well, you can't see it anymore, but this cup used to have a little bee on the front of it. And this was a gift from my dear friend Sarah Lynn Onderud Wallen. She gave it to me because I'm Queen Bee.
Yes. Amazing. I love that.
One of my favorites. She's such a good friend. So hey girl, we haven't really had a chance to get to know each other very well, and that's why I reached out. I had the chance to sit down with a couple of our local title holders from Washington when I was at Miss America, because I thought it was really important to get the local contestant viewpoint on what it's like to go to the big show. And so for I didn't know that you were going. I would have gotten you on there too.
No.
So we're doing it after the fact.
Yes, it was honestly kind of last minute, I would say. Like a few weeks before. My mom had asked me like months before and was like, do you want to go? I was like, Mom, it's right after Christmas. Like, let's try to like save money. And then, right, it would have been cheaper to buy tickets then, right? But then a few weeks later, I was like, Mom, I really think we should go to Miss America. So my whole family is a huge Miss America fan. So back in 2009, I went to my first ever Miss America pageant with my grandparents. So they took me, and so I was like, Mom, I think we should go back. Like, so then we booked trips like super last minute and decided to go. We had a little travel dilemma, but we got there, we watched the show. It was amazing.
Yes.
I had a great time. But yes, I did watch those interviews. They were wonderful.
So cool. So okay, I have a question then. So this is your second time attending the Miss America pageant.
So it's actually like my fifth, I think it is.
Okay, look at you go.
Well, my grandparents, they took us to our first Miss America pageant in 2009. Katie Sam Irk was crowned. I like have the image seared into my brain.
Love her.
So 2009, that was the first time I went. We skipped a year when Carissa was crowned. We didn't go that year. And then we went the following 3 years.
Okay.
After. So it was 2011, 12, and 13, I believe it was.
Yes.
And so that was just something my grandparents took my older sister when she was in 4th grade for her birthday. So it was kind of like a tradition that when we were in 4th grade, we got to go to the Miss America pageant with our grandparents.
I love that.
Yeah.
What a cool tradition for your family. And bless your grandparents for continuing to carry that forward. I mean, I love that. Okay. So then I have to ask you, because you've seen the history and the progression of the organization, literally on stage and in person. Like, I mean, I feel sometimes like poor old Miss America, she's just trying to figure out who she is these days so that she can continue to be relevant, right?
Right.
And so share with us a little bit about your thoughts about how you've watched the Miss America organization change, and sort of like after being present for the show this year, what your takeaway was in terms of where she's at today, and why you want to be part of what's going on here.
Right. Well, I think going back to 2009, that was quite a few years ago, and I fell in love. But I think the natural progression with any good thing is there has to be change.
Yeah.
For something to stay relevant, for something to resonate with a greater audience, like things have to change. If we don't, then it's not fun, you know? So I think the last few years, obviously we've seen a lot of different like components of the pageant, right? Like swimsuit leaving and then fitness coming back. And I've got to experience it all. So the first time I ever competed at Miss Washington, I did swimsuit. The second time I competed at Miss Washington, we had our red carpet. And I really enjoyed both of them. I think both bring a different component to the pageant, and just to viewers to be able to see that women are more than walking across the stage in a swimsuit, but then also to see that we are confident enough to walk across the stage in a swimsuit. It's a double-edged sword. It's like both are amazing. I love where it's going now. Being at Miss America this year, you could tell like the glam is back, and I love that. That's what I fell in love with in 2009. It's just the women being so confident and secure in themselves, walking across that stage. Like that is what I fell in love with, and just being able to put on a beautiful gown and also be so smart, so intelligent, and show that women are multifaceted, right? Like we have so many different sides to us, and I think the Miss America organization really highlights that.
Can we just talk for a minute about the cape? The return of the cape. Okay, I love this. I love this. So, you know, I have to tell you something that I think is really funny. So we just came off of a January personal growth challenge that I hosted. And I had a group of teens in the challenge as well. And the teens aren't familiar with the cape, right? They don't know the history of the cape in the Miss America organization. So I just think it's so cool that they brought it back so that a new generation of contestants have an opportunity to see the glamour and really the glory of like what it means to be, you know, the princess, the queen, the, you know, the elevated woman that Miss America, we have known her historically to be, right? Just this revered girl next door who's now been elevated to this incredible position of role model. And look at how we honor her, right? With this beauty and this opportunity and this glamour. And I just got chilled. Like it was the moment.
It was so beautiful.
In the crowd, right? When we were there, you probably felt it too. But like there was the initial like, whoa, you know, when she gets named, right? And then when they put the cape on her, there was like this whole second wave of like,
yes, because it's just so nostalgic to be like, oh my gosh, that is something that history is just coming back. And again, it's different than it used to be, which I think is good. Like it's not the exact same cape, which like it needs to change, but just having that back is wonderful. Yeah, I love that.
I did too. That was really fun. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, I've got a couple of things that I wanted to make sure that we touch on while we're talking. So for those who don't know you, right? Like you and I, we don't know each other super well. I took some time off when my little guy was tiny, and didn't engage with pageant a whole lot during that season. But and so that's kind of when you've been rocking your heyday here, girl, because you've been busy in the pageant system for the past few years. So can you talk a little bit about your pageant journey to date, starting with where you are right now, and then kind of looking back to sort of what brought you here?
Okay. Wow. How long do we have? So right now I am Miss Apple Valley, and I won that title back in October. I before that was Miss Washington Volunteer 2022 2022, I believe it was. So
and
last
that makes you unique because you're the first woman to compete for the title of Miss Washington Volunteer, win the title, compete in that system at the national level, and then return to the Miss America organization. Is that right? You're the
I
first
believe
one to do.
in Washington, yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so
Making history in Washington. Yep, that's cool. Okay,
yes.
so Miss Washington Volunteer.
And then
Yep.
and before that, I believe it was 2019, I was Miss Tri-Cities. Tri-Cities is where I'm from, actually. So while I was a sophomore in college, I decided to compete for the title of Miss Tri-Cities, went on to state. And that year, I believe I placed second runner-up to Abby Condell. And then prior to that, 2017, still a senior in high school, I did my first Miss Pageant and won Miss Apple Valley. So
Okay.
I'm back.
Yes.
So I did that right as I was a senior.
Okay, so
but before that, I actually
let me say one thing really quick. So I want to point out. So for women who don't know, that is an option. You can win the same local title more than once,
depending on the local. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you have a really fab director there
Yes.
at Miss Apple Valley, and so that also helps young women want to return to the program, knowing that they have that support, that mentorship, that they're welcome, right?
Absolutely.
Because that also says something about you, is that you already ran this show once, and you're going to come back and do it again, and they're excited to have you, right? So it speaks volumes to who you have been as a title holder.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. But yes, Carol, my director right now, she is absolutely phenomenal, and all the volunteers as well with the Apple Valley program. Carol really helped me as a teen because I was 17 years old when I won my first Miss Pageant, and that can be pretty intimidating walking into Miss Washington. I had turned 18 by Miss Washington, but it was scary, honestly. I was like with Dana Marie and Tamra and Nicole Renard. So like those are such powerful women, and I learned so much from competing with them, but it was intimidating. And Carol just took me under her wing and helped me be the best that I could on that stage. And I think every local program really gives you the support to be the best you can at Miss Washington. So yes, that's definitely like the support, and Miss Tri-Cities too. Dot, I know you talked to Abby a few weeks ago, and Dot is just amazing. I got my first title in 2013 as Miss Tri-Cities Outstanding Teen. So she also really helped me grow as not only a title holder, but just as a young woman, and being able to come into myself and develop different skills. Like those local directors are absolutely phenomenal. So yes. Yeah.
And so you've had 2 rounds with Carol, and now 2 rounds with Dot.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I love that. I think that it's so amazing, and that's why I think we call it Pageant Family, right? Because you truly gain a family, especially of mentors and people who want to see your progression, want to see your growth. They care about your success in life, and they're going to do whatever they can to invest in you to ensure that happens. And for you to come back and say, I want more. I want to soak up more time with you. I just think that's a compliment to them, that you found value in what it was that they were offering. So I just have to ask, how much scholarship have you won in total to date?
Gosh.
Okay, you guys sit down and add it up.
I was calculating this morning, and I don't have exact numbers, but I know it's over $20,000. So yeah, so Miss Tri-Cities was the largest scholarship that I won. It was $12,000 just for the local. So they are amazing. And then Apple Valley won. Literally over $20,000 to help me with my education, which will be so helpful. I plan to go back and get my master's, so looking into doing that right now. But phenomenal, the amount of support that the community provides for these opportunities, so girls can get these scholarship dollars, including myself. I'm very thankful.
Yes. So what are you considering for your master's degree?
So there's a few options.
Okay, what's undergrad?
Communications is my undergrad.
And you got it from?
The University of Washington.
Okay.
Yes, go dogs.
And while you were there pursuing undergrad, you also were a
Cheerleader. Yes.
okay.
Yes. So
Okay, you got to
I
draw out all the fun stuff. We got to talk about all the things, right?
yes, I will could talk about UW for like ever. I absolutely love the school. I still my mom went to UW, my aunt went to UW, my grandpa went to UW. So and my twin sister went to UW with me. We are a dog fam through and through.
Okay, so dogs and Miss America. All right, this family's got it down. Yeah,
Yes,
we
exactly.
pass on our traditions for
Yes.
generations. Yes, we do.
We do, but hey, every school is great. No, you know,
Go
but
get
I
your
do love.
education. You just had a really good time at UW. I love it. I
Yes,
love it. Yes,
yes,
would
I
highly
loved it.
recommend. Right?
Oh my gosh, it was the most phenomenal experience coming from the Tri-Cities. The Tri-Cities
Yeah.
is not a huge city, right?
Right.
I mean, it's developed over the last few years immensely, but I knew that I wanted to go to college somewhere that was a different pace of life than what I had lived.
Yeah.
And coming to Seattle, like you get to go to college, but you also get a taste of the real
Mm-hmm.
world, which I think education is so, so important, and going to classes and like actually getting your education is great. But I
Yes.
also think that life aspect of
Oh,
having real world experiences is pretty equal in what you need
yeah.
to be able to develop and go into the real world. So that's
Yes.
why I wanted to go to Seattle. I knew that I wanted to be in a city, and I'm still here 6 years later.
Okay, so
So
where are you now? Are you in Seattle
no,
proper?
not Seattle, but I live in Bellevue, the
Okay.
Bellevue area. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit slower than Seattle, but
Yeah.
definitely still gives me the taste of the city. I work right in downtown.
Okay.
So yes, so it's the hustle and bustle. I work in a skyscraper building, which we just actually moved in to this building a few weeks ago. And I
Ooh.
truly feel like a city girl now. I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God. Yeah, I
Do
love
you
it
have
here.
a view for your
It
office?
yes, the water, like beautiful. It is my last view, and mind you, we just moved into this like 4 weeks ago. My last view was the highway for 2 years, so now I get the water, which
Much better.
is much better. Yes, yeah. So I
Okay.
love it here.
And so you do what in your career for the moment?
Yes, I'm a recruiter. I work for an agency, and my main clients that I work with are Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. I know, yes, I have learned so much just
Yes.
due to the nature of those companies.
And you're how
But
old?
I'm
How old?
25. Oh my gosh, I almost said 24, but I'm 25.
That's
Yes,
okay.
I'm 25, getting up there, but
Yes. Well, you're not getting up there. And Miss America just keeps raising the age limit. So I
I
mean, we
know,
could be
yes.
doing this for a minute.
Exactly. Yes, I'm
So
very thankful.
let me ask you about that because some people would say, I don't agree with these age limits continuing to rise and all of that. What would you say to someone who's like, why are you still competing in Miss pageants? Like,
Mhm.
aren't you too old for that? Like, how long do you think you're going to do this? Are you going to compete until you're 28?
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to that?
Well, I just look back on who I was when I was 17 and
Mm-hmm.
competed at my first Miss
Mm-hmm.
pageant, and then I look at who I am now. And it honestly makes so much more sense that someone who is older, like in their 20s, even late 20s, right, since the age limit is being raised, would be doing this. I have now, as a 17-year-old, I got the experience, I got to accumulate scholarship dollars. But
Yes.
now, as I've had real life experience, I think that I am doing and being a title holder so much better and more efficient than I was at 17. And I also think I am representing a different like type of woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? 17-year-old Reagan, fresh out of high school, just ready to go to college, like see the world for the first time. Now being older and getting older, I have that experience and can resonate with a lot more people throughout my community who are also in the same stage of life. And I think that's what being a title holder is, and is being someone who can resonate and represent a larger group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'll compete until I'm 28. So I mean, hopefully I won't have to after this year, but I will keep doing it because just the opportunity for self-growth, self-development, right? Like I'm still learning things every single day, and I never want to stop learning things. So as long as, you know, a program can provide me with, you know, learning and growing, and I think any opportunity you have can do that, I will continue to do it. And I think it's prevalent for any woman.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you could look back on and talk to your 17-year-old self, right, coming into your first Miss Pageant, and I know, and even like talking to teens, right, who in our system this year are coming off of having maybe competed in the teen organization, and this is their first time on the Miss stage. What advice or what encouragement would you give? Like, there's so much disappointment, right? After you prepare and then you come to compete and you know you're competitive. But once you get on that stage and you go through the process, and like you said, you were up against some heavy hitters the first time you walked on that stage as a Miss Contestant. And so how would you talk to your 17-year-old self so that you could kind of prepare her for what's coming, and then you know, and so that you would know what your journey would be like, and maybe some of the feels that you'd have going through it and then after the fact?
Yeah, I think gosh, there's like so many thoughts running around in my head, because if I could go back and tell Reagan different things, or maybe, you know, things not to worry about, I would. But the main thing, I think, that when looking back, I wish I would have not been so worried about the competition. Right? Like, it is a competition. I mean, who doesn't love to win? Right?
Yeah.
That's what we're there to do. But I wish that I really took in the opportunity to sit down and have conversations with those people I was competing with. Enjoy the moments and the activities throughout the week. I've really tried to work on this the last few years, just doing different systems. But it's like, when you come out of it, are you going to remember, you know, oh, I placed this and this? Yeah, you'll remember that. But really, what will you take away is those relationships that you make, those opportunities where you were able to go and talk to this group of people or interact with this little girl, right? Instead of focusing so much on the competition, I wish I would have taken a step back and just enjoyed the moment and taken the opportunities right then and there. And that's something I really try to do now as a title holder, and I've tried to do the last few years as well, competing at Miss Volunteer America, and even at Miss Washington the second time I competed, is really actively just being in the moment, because that experience far outweighs if you're going to win or not.
Sure. And what I love is that the organization opens the door to so many opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise have if you never signed up to participate, right?
Absolutely.
And so if you've done your preparation properly, and you know that you're ready to go, and you know that you're competitive, we might as well just let go and have fun when we get to actual competition, right? Which is why we can say that we actually do have a sisterhood, right? Is when women are able to release that competitiveness and instead reach a place of vulnerability, which then allows for relationship building, because you truly let down your guard and you're ready to just engage in the whole experience, as opposed to, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this too, especially having competed at the national level. There are women who will absolutely isolate themselves, sometimes based on advice from their inner circle, to just, you know, ignore everybody. You're not there to make friends. You're here to compete. You're here to win. And I, you know, based on what you're saying, I think you'd agree with me that I just think that's really not the best advice for a young woman. Just puts a lot of pressure on her.
Right.
And really robs her of some really valuable opportunities and experiences if all we're focused on is the crown.
Absolutely. And I think I now look as like, okay, I take the weeks, months leading up to a pageant. I'm going to prep my booty off, right? I'm going to do what I need to do to be ready for the job. But when I get there at the actual competition, like, this is a celebration, no matter if I'm taking home the Miss Washington crown or not. Like, this is a celebration of all that I've done leading up to this
Yeah.
moment, right? The hours that I've put in, like no matter if I win or not, nothing will take away the prep and the hard work that I put into getting here. And so that's now what I didn't have at 17 was that mindset.
Yeah.
And now at 25 and the last few years, I've just had to realize, like, Reagan, you've worked so hard. Like, why are you going to take the celebratory moments and not celebrate?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
so-
Hashtag celebration.
yes.
Not hashtag win the pageant.
Yes.
Hashtag celebration.
Celebration. Yes.
We're going to have a party on stage on final night, one way or the other.
Exactly.
So we might as well start celebrating day one. Yeah.
Exactly. Because also it's like only one person is going to win. So if you aren't that one in 52, I mean, at Miss America, in 51 girls that take away the crown, you're going to be disappointed.
Yes.
Because you didn't take the time to make a friendship with the girl sitting next to you, or talk to the volunteer that's there spending their week, you know, hanging out with you and making sure that you guys are good and ready to go. So that definitely, you know, is something that I try to do now.
Yep. So I want to know, with regard to preparation, let's talk about that for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
You have had the privilege of getting ready for a state competition on more than one occasion, and you've had the opportunity to prepare to go to the national stage.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your experience at Miss Volunteer America, because I think it's important that we hear about that, right? There's only a handful of you women who've competed at the national competition for volunteer, and so I think that we need to talk about that. But I would like to know, for our women who are in preparation right now, either to compete for a local title, an open title, or go on to the Miss Washington stage if they've already won their program for this year. What advice do you have, or what changed for you in your preparation now that you've been to a national pageant? Like what shifted, or what things have you added into your preparation that maybe you weren't doing before? Now that you've had that national experience, what's changed for you about preparation? Has that informed your preparation in any way?
Yeah, it definitely has. And I will draw on a little bit of kind of what I just talked about, but I used to be the type of person that prepped and just crammed my brain with stats and, you know, who is this person? Who is that person? Like, what are all the right answers to these questions? And I think that's where I went wrong, you know? So I would just cram and try to memorize things and just not draw on my actual experience. So as Miss Washington volunteer, and even now as Miss Apple Valley, I know the most valuable prep that I can do is doing the job. So
yes,
going out into the community and, you know, going to appearances, talking in front of large groups of people, recruiting for the program, you know, getting new contestants, and then also working with my CSI. You know, like, you have to do the job before you're given the job.
Yes.
And that is something that at a national level is even more prevalent. When you get to nationals, like, they want to, this is a huge job. They want to know that you're going to be able to come in and execute and do the job to the standards that they have for the title holder, and showing them that you've done the job by XYZ, whatever that means for each individual. You know, it's different for every person, whether that be you're really focused on your CSI or you're focused on the partnerships that Miss America now has. Like, you have to do the job. And I think that's one thing that really changed for me at a national level.
I love that. So real quick, what is your CSI?
Yes. So I work with individuals that have disabilities. So actually, I have 3 different pillars, I guess you would say. It's titled Embracing Our Differences, Inclusion for All. One pillar, I created this challenge when I was 12 years old. It's called Reagan's Challenge. And I present this to elementary school and middle school students because we have a total lack of inclusion within our schools and within our school communities. So with this challenge, it provides them 4 tips to really on a day-to-day basis know how to include and accept every single person, whether someone has a disability or not. My second pillar, I actually work with Best Buddies, which is now the national partner.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I just found out about this new
Yes.
partnership that Miss America introduced with Best
I am-
Buddies. And remind me who started Best Buddies. Remind me. It's a name that everybody would know. Do you remember?
I know who. I don't know who started.
The
It's not Eunice Kennedy. Eunice Kennedy started Special Olympics, but I think it's like one of the Kennedys, right?
Yes.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
I cannot remember the name, but
yeah,
but I know who you're talking about. But yes, so I work with Best Buddies. I have for about 3 years now, and so I am just ecstatic. Like when I was at Miss America, I sat in the audience and I was like, you're kidding. It is such a great program that provides resources for individuals with disabilities. They have 4 different pillars. Won't go into them because it's a lot, but I work with the one-to-one friendship program, which is very similar to the Reagan's challenge that I have, is integrating individuals with disabilities into our mainstream classrooms and really, getting that socialization that they don't have on a day-to-day basis. So my goal with my CSI right now in Washington State, there's only 17 Best Buddy programs across the entire state, which is not enough, right? And that includes elementary, middle, high school, college even. UW has a chapter, which is awesome. And then there's a citizens program as well. So I work with Best Buddies. I absolutely love it. I could go on forever and talk about that. And I think that it is so amazing that Miss America has now partnered with them. I'm just over the moon. I cannot.
My husband just jumped on and he said Maria Shriver, but I don't think that's who's actually running the organization. I think it's her brother.
Yeah.
Because
I was totally off.
No. Oh, you're right. Kennedy family, still the Kennedy family.
I was like, I swear, but like maybe I need to do some review.
You gotta look this up before. This is one name you should memorize. No.
Yes, exactly.
That's the only one you get to memorize. No.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So let's see. I wanted to ask you a question about what you're doing now, because you're a recruiter, and I think this is really cool because we all talk about how Pageant prepares us for real life, right? I mean, the benefits of competing in a pageant.
Right.
First, your scholarship dollars, which helps you access education, which prepares you for your future and your career. But really, the experience of the competition, right? We don't just put on pretty dresses and sparkly hats and make our faces up and sit in front of a camera and smile and sit in the back of a car to parade and wave. I mean, the nature of preparing for a pageant competition and then experiencing a pageant competition, especially with organizations that have a service requirement, right? Community service requirement as part of the organization, really makes a difference in how you are ready for a career.
Right.
And so would you share a little bit about how, maybe tell me 3 things that as a result of being a pageant girl, you have actually been elevated in terms of what you're able to pursue career-wise because of the skill sets that you've garnered. So what has pageant given you that's blessed you also in your career?
Yeah, so much. But I would say the one, the main one is really just the ability to talk to any person. The ability to talk and really communicate well with someone from any path. On a daily basis, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, I am cold calling people. I am talking to someone who's super extroverted, someone who maybe doesn't want to be on the phone with me and is introverted, and just being able to navigate those conversations, even when they are difficult, has my ability to do so has come from pageants. And I would say the interview room has given me a lot of that, that ability to kind of think fast and, know how to work a conversation, but also just the opportunities with appearances and talking to different people. that has really prepared me to go into the working world and be able to have hard conversations, but then make those hard conversations a little bit easier. Also, just a level of professionalism. Walking into a meeting, like I mentioned, I work with like Amazon, Microsoft, Meta. Those are the big dogs, right? I have to walk into a meeting, if I have a meeting with a hiring manager, and know how to present myself, know how to present the content that I'm sharing with them, but then also have a normal conversation with them, because we also have to remember they're just people too.
Yes.
So yeah, just those communication skills and the ability to navigate those conversations. Two, I would say the confidence to do so. Like when I was 13, 12, just starting on the pageant stage, I had to learn how to be confident in the way that I walked into an interview room and spoke my truth, because I should be confident in who I am and what I bring to the table. And over the years of pageants, it's taught me that what I am and who I am is valuable. I think Vanessa talks a lot about this, and I really love that she touches on this, is that you are enough.
Yes.
What you bring to the table is good enough. And pageants has given me that confidence to walk in and know that what I have to say is important. So those are probably the two main, components that I've brought into the real world with me from pageants.
Yeah, I love that. So important. That presence, the ability to bring your own presence. And then what it also teaches you, like I said, from the interview room and from the onstage question, it teaches you how to think, really, and then how to engage with other people, how to compile your thoughts in an organized way, and then be able to share from your heart how it is that you feel about the things that are most important to you in terms of communicating your genuineness to other people. I love everything about pageant interview. Women used to go to finishing school. The pageant competition is the best kind of finishing school, because it does produce just an empowered woman, right? One who can really speak for herself and speak for others. I love that. So let's go back to actual competition for a minute. And you've been in the auditorium for Miss America, and you've been on the stage competing for volunteer at the national level, right? So talk a little bit about, or contrast for me, the experience.
You mean me competing at volunteer and sitting and watching Miss America?
Yes. So I'd like to hear you contrast the two organizations just for a minute. Like when I sit in the audience at Miss America, this is my experience. When I was at volunteer, it was a little different. This was my experience. And then in addition to that, just talking about the difference between being an audience member versus being a contestant.
Right. Yes. Well, I would say, truthfully, being at Miss America, just the level of production was very similar to volunteer. Like I obviously went to Miss America in 2009, like phenomenal. And that was very similar to my experience at volunteer. And I know America has kind of changed over the years. And this was my first year going in so long. I don't know what those years looked like, the past few years, but it was phenomenal. Just the production, just the I'm a dancer, so I love the opening number. I was like, the girls were getting it. The choreography looked amazing. And it truthfully was very similar. I think just the components of the competition have changed. Now Miss America, we have the fitness aspect, which I really enjoy. Volunteer has the swimsuit, so very similar, just little nuances here and there. But truthfully, it was very similar. Both amazing, amazing shows, amazing productions, a great opportunity for women to be on stage. As far as sitting in the audience and being on stage, I get more nervous when I'm in the audience than I am if I'm on the stage, because it's like when I'm on the stage, I'm just me. I'm in control of what I can control, right? Yeah. When I'm in the audience, and this is kind of funny you say that. So my twin sister, I crowned her Miss Tri-Cities Outstanding Teen when I was giving away my title.
So cool.
Thank you. you very much.
Yeah.
When I had to watch her at state, I was literally in the audience like this.
Yeah.
It was like, it's so much more nerve-wracking to be in the audience versus on stage. And she doesn't do pageants anymore, but she's like, I'll take the audience any day. I'm like, great, because I'll be on stage, Paige. You can be in the audience. She's my #1 cheerleader, always the loudest in the crowd. So you'll hear her at Miss Washington, but I think it's so much better to be on stage rather than in the audience. But I do think it's good to go watch other pageants and watch, you know, other girls compete. It gives you such a different perspective.
Yes.
So I really do enjoy being in the audience as well, although I would prefer to be on stage.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute, about going and watching, right? Because I know that some women take full advantage of the opportunity to go and watch every local, to, you know, go and you even went so far as this year to go to Miss America again. So let's talk a little bit more, like when you're in the audience, give me 3 things from Miss America that being in the audience this year, you were able to watch those women and you're like, oh, I noticed this, and I noticed this, or I took away this information that I wouldn't have seen if I hadn't been here. So share with me a little bit about that value of going and actually watching in person, the power of observation.
Well, I think anytime that we are in person with someone, it's so much different than watching it via screen, right? So at Miss America, we got to see the behind the scenes of, you know, the MCs were maybe having to stall a little bit because the girls were needing a bit more time, which is fair. Backstage is crazy. But I think just the ease in which the women were able to adapt and quickly like get on stage if they needed to. I'm always really impressed because changing backstage is insane, especially if you have that quick of a turnaround. So really impressed by that. That was a side note. But I think just I'm the type of person that will write down notes of like, oh, I really like how that girl made me feel when she said that. Like, I think in person you can see how someone makes you feel. And I went to the teen pageant too, and gosh, who was it? I can remember her talent and what she looks like, but I can't remember exactly her state. But she was doing her on-stage question, and just the way that she made me feel about what she was saying, I was like, I love that. And then I was rooting for her. I was like, oh my gosh, I want you to win, you know? So I think it's all about how the girls say something. That's really something that I got to see in person that you wouldn't necessarily get to see over a screen. And again, just the production, maybe seeing how things have changed and how Miss Washington will be. It's evolving every single day. So I don't think anyone will necessarily know exactly what Miss Washington will be like, but just getting an idea of what the fitness portion looked like. Like I said, I take notes because I'm like, oh, I love that she did that. Or, you know, so I think that just how people made me feel is something that I took away, and just the nuances here and there. I don't know if that really answered your question.
No, it does. It does. Well, and even I think you're absolutely right, because like one of the things that I found was really impactful being in the audience this year, you know, just some behind the scenes scoop. Sometimes when you go to competition, you'll have people saying things like, oh, it's rigged, or, oh, you know, they like this girl really well. And so, well, first of all, they did the whole different panel of judges, right, for final night. So they never saw the girls in an interview. There was no character from a composite or anything. And so it was really just a blank slate. So we can't show any favoritism then at that point. In addition to that, if you really wanted to make one young woman shine, right? So we're talking about like our pageants rigged, right? Which I don't believe that at all. And so just make my position clear on that. That somehow they might give a girl a softball question and then give another gal a harder right. And so what I loved was being in the audience. You could actually see that moment when they brought the 11 out and they were all ready to sit down in their chairs, and then they're like, now move. Like, and it's totally random. And then to watch the grace and the poise in the way that they were able to just go with there was no preparation for this. The women had never seen this done before. There was no way that they could have known what was coming. And they just handled it. And to me, that's what being Miss America is all about. You have to be ready to step up and competent to handle any situation, anything that comes your way.
Absolutely.
So that was something that I thought, being able to experience that in person, and they were not ruffled.
No.
I mean, they were not.
No, those girls, they just were like, and I'm here, and I'm gonna talk, and I'm done. Here you go. I was like, okay, girl.
The other beautiful things, you know, I don't recall in going back and rewatching it, if the camera picked up the women supporting each other. Mm-hmm. So the camera would be on one woman who was answering, and the other women would be applauding her down the line as she gave her response and her reaction. I just thought it was so cool to be able to see, again, the sisterhood and the support that was happening there. So cool. So cool.
Absolutely.
All right. So let me see here. What else did I, okay. So you've had, you know, a national experience now, right? And I'm just curious, you know, I know what I would say in answer to this question, but I want to ask you because I want to know what you would say.
Okay.
So I competed, you know, in pageants for 4 years, and I won $36,000 in scholarship. That was back in the day.
Wow.
And competed in 3 different pageant systems. Some people might say, oh, Regan, you've had your national experience. You've already been on a national stage. You know, you abandoned the Miss America organization. You ran off and did the volunteer organization. And so why are you coming back to the Miss America organization? Why would you continue to compete? You've already been Miss Apple Valley. Like, what would you say to people who are kind of bringing those kinds of questions? Like, what are you doing? Why are you back to continue your pageant experience in the Miss America organization?
Yeah, that is good question. I think it is a good question, and I think it's good to address that because I honestly was a little bit hesitant.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know, but I have felt nothing but like open arms coming back, and so welcoming, so loving. Like that's also why I love this organization, because
family.
Right, it's a family, and I've come back, and people are here to support me, and I think one main reason why I'm back is because Miss America, whether you're doing Miss America, Miss Volunteer, whatever, like pageants provide so much self-growth and development. Yes. And if I can promote that and share that with young girls and encourage them to be involved, that is what I'm here to do. And of course, after, you know, I can't compete anymore at 28, you know, I will still continue to do that. But I think the most impactful thing is actually seeing someone who's in the spot and being able to have real conversations with them. So when I'm able to share what the Miss America organization has provided me with, kind of everything we've talked about, the confidence, the ability to walk into a room and, you know, have conversations, communicate how I feel, what I think, my opinion about things. And that is really what the Miss America organization provides. Coming back, this is a weird analogy, but I'm a dancer. So as a dancer, like there's so many different opportunities. Like I had a competitive dance team, a studio, then there was a high school dance team, like so many different avenues to perfect and excel in my craft.
Yes.
And I think that's what pageants do as well. There's so many different programs and opportunities for girls to just continue to improve themselves, but then also work within their community and be out there and promote that pageants are not the stereotype that people think they are.
Yes.
And for us to
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and for us to say, hey, I've done this system and this system gives different perspective, right? So then people ask, when I was Miss Washington Volunteer, so funny. When I was Miss Washington Volunteer, I went to the Puyallup Fair, and my name's Regan, and I told someone that, and they were like, oh my gosh, were you in the parade last week? Regan Gallo had been in, like, I think it was a parade or something.
Yes, like, there's a parade. She was the grand marshal for the Washington State Fair kickoff parade.
So that was to be able to talk to that person and just inform them. Like, I love Reagan. I competed with her. I love her. But yes, that's the Miss America organization. I'm Miss Washington volunteer. So here are the differences. Both provide really great opportunities for young women. And there's just double the chance to do so. So it was so cool to have that kind of experience. And that was the first time I'd experienced that of like, are you Miss Washington? I'm like, no, but I know her and she's amazing, you know?
And we do share the same name. It's a great name.
literally. So, I just think the opportunities for growth within myself, but then also the opportunity to share what this program does with so many other individuals. I can do that on my own, but this being Miss Apple Valley gives me the microphone to reach more people, and as Miss Washington would be able to do that as well.
Yeah. So I, I loved competing, and that, like you, I would rather have been on the stage than sitting in the audience, right?
Yeah.
And I remember back in 1998 was the first time I competed at Miss Washington. That's gonna date me right there. And I remember I tried to get back in 1999. I tried and I couldn't win. I came and I competed as sweeper and I got beat out, and they gave away 2 crowns that year, and I was the first runner up. I didn't get a crown. And so I remember sitting in the audience and watching in 1999, and oh my gosh, the anxiety of watching my sister contestants, that I'd become friends year before, and the anxiety of watching them be up there on stage and knowing what they were going through and wanting to be up there too was so hard. But I went to Seafair that year and actually won, and Seafair actually gave a larger scholarship than Miss Washington won that year because it was the 50th anniversary of Seafair, so they upped the scholarship amount. So that was super fun. But for me, competing, what I loved about it, why I continue to compete and why I competed in other systems. First of all, I didn't recognize it initially when I was young, when I was only 19, and I didn't win Miss Washington my first time through. I didn't recognize that was a blessing. I didn't recognize that if I got to come back through again, I would know so much more, and I would be so much better the next time around. I would have more maturity. I would have more understanding. I didn't see that at all. I was very upset.
Yes. Yeah.
And I had to ride in the car all the way from the Tri-Cities where the pageant used to be held in the Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
And ride all the way back to the other side of the state. I had a long time in the car and think about how mad I was, and get a little humility, which is what Breann at 19 really needed, was some humility. She probably still does today, but it was a good lesson for me. But the other thing that I took away from that is you have more opportunity for the scholarships. Yes. And now there are so many scholarships that you can garner that aren't tied to the crown. Right. You don't have to win the title to gain thousands in scholarship dollars. And then going on and competing in other systems, USA is not good at giving out scholarships. They give out cash prizes, and unless you win, you really don't get. There's not really a lot of opportunities. And I'm not saying anything bad about the USA system. That's just the way that it's set up. And so, I love the fact that there are other organizations that women can go compete in for scholarship dollars, because I really believe that is the pie in the sky, that we all need access to education. And that's what competing in a scholarship pageant gives you, in addition to all of these other skills, is you can pursue education, which I think is invaluable. But I was like, I just wanted to, because I wanted to see how I could bring more to the stage than next time. Yes. What more can I do with the quality of my answers in my interview, how I'm reacting and responding to the judges? If I had one more and earlier on, then I wouldn't have pursued additional training and additional experience, and I wouldn't have had as many people that I would have met related to my CSI, and I wouldn't have challenged myself as much with my health and my fitness and my nutrition. And I just always wanted to bring more competitively to the stage, to be, how much better can I make myself? How much more can I strive? And so I never really found myself kind of like sitting back on my laurels. There was never, and I don't know if you felt this, but starting in the system when you did, do you feel like you've been able to take a year off? I mean, have you had an off season at all?
Yes, actually, I have had an more of an off season than I think seems like. I When I did my first Miss Washington in 2018, right after I graduated, I took my freshman year of college, and then that summer I competed at Miss Tri-Cities, and then the next summer I competed at Miss Washington, and then I took 2 years off before I did Miss Volunteer. And
Let's talk about that. Let's talk
mhm,
about that. I want to dig into
yeah.
that first because I know because of the way that our pageant system has opened up in the state of Washington, you could compete in 2 weeks after you competed at one program. You could go compete 2 weeks
Mhm.
later at another local, like just depending. I
Right.
mean, it's there's a lot of opportunity to compete, and
Yes.
so talk a little bit about. Do you think that it was a benefit or do you think it was a detriment that you took 2 years off?
Absolutely a benefit.
Okay, why?
1000%. So I'm going back to what you said. When I didn't win my first time at Miss Washington, I was young. I was like, I can't, I can't do the job. I'm 18 years old, right? The second time I went, I was like, this is my time. I'm gonna win Miss Washington. This is when I'm ready now, right? But having now the last few years of
Yes.
life experience, I know that I was not
Mm.
ready for the job of Miss Washington. No way was I at 20 years old. Some 20-year-olds would be, but Reagan, 20 years old, was not ready for that job. So after that, I took those 2 years off and just got to live life and focus on school, focus on maybe other areas in my life that I put on the back burner because I was doing pageants, not because I was told I had to, but just because when I do something, I am doing it to 100%
Yeah.
and 150% sometimes, which I've learned to balance. But taking those 2 years, I had life experience that I now could bring to the table as Miss Washington volunteer.
That.
Yes. And I then, as 20-year-old Regan was really mad that she didn't win Miss Washington, 25-year-old Regan is now like, thank gosh, because I have 5 years of my life is filled with experiences, opportunities that I would not have had if I won Miss Washington at that time.
Yeah.
So I think I know that it is beneficial that I took years off. I learned who I was because that's also something that going into pageants, it's like as a young girl, I would be like, oh, she does that really well. Let me do that. Or she does that,
Yes.
right? Trying to be the girls that I thought were going to win or were really great at the job, which don't get me wrong, like perspective.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that she does that. Maybe I can incorporate it some way. Totally. But I was changing who I was based on what I thought what they wanted out of a title holder.
Yeah. And that happens a lot, right? We can speak to that. A lot of women fall victim to that kind of thinking.
Right. And it's so hard because when you're in the position, you don't think it's detrimental, but really as just a human being, like you have to know who you are and still hold true to your beliefs. That's also something I took away from competing at a national level is like I gained a sense of self. Like I had to trust myself with the decisions that I was making, with anything during the actual pageant week, but then leading up, like I am representing Washington for sure, but I'm also representing myself on a national stage. So I have to know who I am, and taking time to figure out who you are and what you believe in and what you want to be is important. And I think that's what I gained from taking years off and just living life.
Yes.
That was
And the only way that can happen, and let's just be clear about this, the only way that you can come to know yourself truly, like who am I and what do I believe in and what do I agree with, is your life experiences shape you. It's all the stuff that's hard, that's amazing, that's like you said, you've been to, did you say Australia or New Zealand?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, going different places in the world, seeing how other people live, like you can't know, I mean, it changes
Right.
how you identify with the world, what your reality is. Those kinds of things are so important, those experiences, to be able to bring those back to the
Yeah.
stage, right? As
Absolutely.
part of your unique knowledge, your unique experiences that color how you will perform in the job of the title holder.
Yeah.
I just and then to be able to share all of these amazing and wonderful things about you with a panel
Yeah.
of judges and let
Mhm.
them get to know you authentically so that they can see like, oh my gosh, what an interesting young woman.
Mhm.
She's got all of these cool things that she's done in her life, and gosh, we just want to share that with the rest of the state or
Yeah.
with the rest of the nation,
Mhm.
right? I love that. I love that you said that. All right, so we're coming up on an hour. I could
Wow.
talk with you for another hour.
That was
I
so
mean, this is
quick. Oh my gosh.
so fun. I so enjoyed talking with you, but I just want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything that you just would like to share? I know we've got a few people on here watching, and I'm going to throw this up on the YouTube channel later. Is there anything that you just want to say or share with me that we haven't talked about yet that you were hoping maybe we'd get to today?
Gosh, I mean, I feel like we touched on so much, and well, really, I just want to thank you because I know we were emailing back and forth, and you were like, I want to create this space for women who maybe don't know what pageants are, how to compete, what it entails to go and learn.
Yes.
And I think that is so, so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say, if there is someone maybe coming to your channel who is new to pageants, like just ask questions, like just reach out. I think Abby was talking about like getting coffee with people just to share the program, and I love that she kind of expressed that. I don't know, I don't think it was on yours, but I think she had put a story up or something, and I just encourage everyone to ask questions. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and
Yeah.
you won't figure it out until you talk and communicate and ask those questions. And any one of us are here to answer those questions. Like, I love when people ask me questions. So if anyone that's new to pageants or even in pageants, wants to sit down and chat, like, I do it for a living, and I love to do it outside of that as well. But yeah, I appreciate you providing this space so that girls can come and learn without feeling like, they're being judged, or, just any type of way about wanting to know
Right.
more. So
And
thank you.
I think that's really important to point out is that, again, going to that mindset that some women are pushed in a certain direction, or assume about pageant is that because I'm in a competition with you, I am against
Right.
you. And so I cannot be friends with you. And if I share information with you, or if you share information with me, somehow I'm diminishing my chance at winning.
Right.
And I think that is just not what the Miss Washington organization, the Miss America organization, stands for at all. I think that very much what we're trying to do here, I know Abby Falk, Miss Tri-Cities 2024, as you're saying this, Regan, I know that in the past, our Miss Washingtons have made themselves available. What we want to do is we want to make the Miss America opportunity available to as many women as possible between the ages of 13 and 28, because why? There's an opportunity for personal growth and development, professional growth and development, and access to scholarship that will allow you to pursue education, which will only launch you further in life. And so let's get as many women involved in this organization as possible. And more than that, we need our formers to come back and serve as volunteers, because as the organization grows, we're just going to need more support and more help, providing mentorship and great experiences in these local organizations and in our state organization. I know Robin Fleming mentioned that she's going to grow her national office staff this year, by multiply it by 3. So she's only got 5 employees, bless her heart, running the national organization, right? So hopefully next year when we go back, she'll have maybe 15. That would be
Yes.
that'd be great. So mean, it's an incredible organization, and really the things that it produces for women based on, what isn't, it's not some great big structured organization or entity. It's just people who love what Miss America is and what she offers. And so we're givers of our time, and you are as well, right? And so I love that you made that offer to other women, because you've really been volunteering in the system since the day you started, right? So how many years of volunteerism does that mean for you?
Yeah.
Already,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah,
So I just want to encourage people to reach out to you, because you are a wealth of knowledge and information, whether they want to continue in the Miss America organization, or if they want to try out the volunteer organization. You'd be willing to talk about both,
absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, pageants are just an opportunity for growth. So whatever's, you have to figure out what's best for you, which one, both, clearly.
Yeah.
So I'm an open book. I love chatting about both.
Yeah. I thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your time.
Thank you. This was so fun. Oh my gosh.
And while you're on here with me, I'm just gonna say this. I think this is a really fun thing to do. It's the first one like this that we've done. So we're gonna have to get some more gals coming on in this manner. So if anybody has any requests, let me know. I'll get them on here. I'm talking to you. I'm thinking, we've got to get our next triple crown gal, Maddie Louder. She's done, right? So she's done America. She's at volunteer. We've got to get her on so that she can talk a little bit about, competing in both systems, your sister that way. And then I also saw that Miss Morgan Greco hopped on here. I think we need our national team to come on and chat with me a little bit and share what that's like for our teen ladies, to get some good information and some good input. So just continuing to share resources and that. So I appreciate you sharing about your experience, Reagan, and I wish you all the best at Miss Washington. I do hope that we'll get a chance to do this again. Before you go to Miss Washington, because I think it's just great to continue to talk about preparation. So now that we've put you out there and people have had a chance to get to know you, maybe we'll bring you on and talk about prep a little bit.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm game for whatever.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I will release you so that you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday and your coffee and the sunshine. The sun is out here in Western Washington. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank gosh. I'll take a walk or something. But thank you so much. So great to chat.
So good to talk with you. All right. Bye.